Disney spent $645 million on one TV show. So we talked about the Marvel one, which was expected. That was about Marvel movies. So yeah, Disney spends a lot of money on Marvel movies, but they do make a lot of money. But they spent $645 million on this Star Wars show. The future Star Wars movie remains unclear. But it seems that Disney is not getting the questions it wants. Yes, the answers it wants. So Forbes has reported that Andor, both seasons 1 and 2, costed $645 million. Yes, Disney. You spent $645 million in a show that no one watched. Wow, Disney. Okay, and I remember a while ago, Game of Thrones was considered the most expensive show ever made. They were making 50 million. They made cost of 15 to 20 million per episode. And I was like, oh my god, Game of Thrones was very expensive. Oh no! Now Disney has this title of most expensive TV show ever made with Andor. Yeah, okay. Remember how expensive Game of Thrones was made? How much money it cost? Okay, and when I talk about yes, Game of Thrones was more expensive because it had more episodes produced, but per episode, Disney has them beat. Okay, so Disney has a record they don't want to have. Obviously, a lot of the Disney Star Wars shows probably have huge budgets as well. But the problem is no one's watching these shows. Okay, so let's look at the other ones. So Acolyte as well. The show costed $240 million. It's even more than the fucking Deadpool movie. So they spent more on the fucking Acolyte, which is a show that nobody liked, than the fucking Deadpool movie. Okay, and the Deadpool movie was mid as fuck. Then we had Skeleton Crew. No one, $120 million. It's fucking Skeleton Crew, and no one watched it. This has to be the biggest L ever taken by a company. Okay, besides, I think Sony took in a bigger L of Concord. I forgot about Concord. But that's be the second biggest L taken after Sony of Concord, losing $400 million in Concord. I don't really think many people really watch these shows, which is making, as well, and with the Marvel shows and movies as well, costing a lot of money, and no one's watching these shows. That's the funny thing. Skeleton Crew, no one's watching them. Acolyte was a failure, a colossal failure for Disney, and Andor was a failure. I just don't understand how Disney can get these Disney has really lost the ball when it comes to Star Wars. Okay, Star Wars used to be the number one series in the world, behind maybe Pokemon, when Pokemon started coming around. But Star Wars is the number one media franchise for decades until Pokemon came along and took that mantle away from Star Wars. Okay, and we're talking about media franchises, we're talking about more than just merchandise, because there are some franchises that made more money in Star Wars that are mostly merchandise based, like Hello Kitty and Winnie the Pooh are examples, I think, that made more money as well. But those are mostly merchandise based franchises. Pokemon, until Pokemon came around and took over Star Wars. Star Wars was the highest grossing, highest selling media franchise of all time. I think if sequel trilogy was successful, Star Wars will have gained that title. But the fact that Pokemon, which also has its own issues as well, when it comes to the quality control when it comes to games, because of how, poorly, handled Nintendo and the Game Freak and Creatures Inc. and all the Pokemon company is here. Okay, but Star Wars, Disney has the money and resources to make a good Star Wars movie, a good Star Wars TV shows, okay? Game Freak doesn't really have many employees, okay, compared to the thousands that Disney has, okay? And probably the thousands Lucasfilm has, okay? How many, okay, you gotta actually look up. Okay, so Lucasfilm. Okay, so how, I look at Wikipedia. Okay, so Lucasfilm has 2,000 fucking employees. And the movies are still garbage. The shows are still garbage. Of course, the graphics are pretty good. But they have 2,000 employees, and they can't write a good story. I think, let's compare Pokemon Star Wars, okay? Story is just passable for a small company. Game Freak, okay, how many employees Game Freak has? They have 166 employees, okay? Well, I do think Pokemon needs a separate, okay, 207 employees. Okay, so Game Freak has 207 employees, and the Pokemon games are garbage, okay? Story is mid, the games come out broken, which means either Game Freak needs more staff to be able to create as many games as they can, or they need to have a B-team Pokemon studio, kind of like how, Activision has a B and C team for Call of Duty, do it like that, I know people might not like the option of Pokemon like LCA, but that's all Nintendo really has, unless they want to use Monolith Soft. But don't think Monolith Soft wants to make Pokemon. I think they'll try to make Xenoblade or whatever they want to make. Okay, as well. I think with Power World, it really so people want an actual good Pokemon game, but Game Freak doesn't have. I think the whole power of Pokemon is that Game Freak doesn't have the resources to make a good Pokemon game. But the power, and Pokemon. I did not like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. But I think without all of the glitches and bugs of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which I forgot to actually mention in my top 10 worst Nintendo games videos, it could have been a good game without all the bugs and glitches. Okay, kind of like Sonic 06. Sonic 06 had the same exact problem. Sonic 06, okay, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is actually very similar to Sonic 06 in many, many ways, okay? And I'll talk about it in some videos, but more if you want me to talk about that. But Sonic 06 is very similar to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet if you really think about it. The games were rushed out for the holidays to meet a deadline. Okay, the games were so gritty and buggy that it was unplayable at once. Okay, and Sonic 06 was never fixed or patched. And with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, it was patched. A lot of the glitches were patched out eventually, which caused a hiatus for Pokemon. Okay, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's launch was so bad and so. I think Game Freak must have listened to us and not released any Pokemon games this year. Also, they probably just waiting for the Switch 2, most likely. And then we'll get Z8 and Generation 10, and then, we'll wait until with Pokemon games, I'm just going to see until the game comes out. If the games are good, then maybe I'll buy them, but if the games are just bad, I think Pokemon might be getting to that Sonic territory, which is basically that's going to kill the franchise with Pokemon. But the difference is Game Freak only has 206 employees. Okay, Lucasfilm has 2,000. Okay, that's the difference. Lucasfilm has 2,000 employees, and they can't seem to make a movie that's good. Okay, or so that's good. Okay, which means the writers at Lucasfilm don't know how to make movies or shows, which is really embarrassing if you compare Pokemon to Star Wars. So what happened to Star Wars is even more embarrassing than what happened to Pokemon. Because Game Freak is a small studio. Meanwhile, Lucasfilm has 2,000 employees as of 2024. Okay, but I just don't understand why Lucasfilm thought all these changes was a good idea. But really, all these changes comes back to the head of Lucasfilm. That for some reason, Disney refuses to fire Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah, Lucasfilm has been struggling with her ever since like 2016 or 2017. And for some reason, Disney thinks it's a good idea to keep her there because he's a diversity hire. Okay, she's a woman. So they have to keep her there because she's a woman. But they know no one likes her. They know that people really don't care for her. And she's not a person people like. But Disney doesn't care. And really, Disney's just continue to sue themselves in the foot with Star Wars fans because of this. And that's about this video. Disney has lost control over Star Wars. Even the media is admitting that Disney lost control over Star Wars, okay? So yeah, I did a video about comparison between Star Wars and Pokemon, but really, it's a one-sided, because you look at how many employees Game Freak has, it's 206 employees. I know that one video, they did expand the employee count to 204. It used to actually be like 160, okay? But Game Freak is mostly as game developers, as well, and, like, people who actually make games. Lucasfilm, they also create, do with merchandise, do with, many things. But this is so funny that Pokemon, despite the state it is in a far better state than Star Wars. Because at least with merchandise, Star Wars is in such a bad state that merchandise isn't even selling anymore, which is pretty hilarious as well. Which will cause the lead between Pokemon and Star Wars to grow even more significantly. And Kathleen Kennedy is the one to blame for this, 100%. Goodbye.